Are you used to it?
I've played it a couple of times.
This is the first time.
Oh, but it didn't matter.
I think it's great. I think Codemasters have done a super job, actually, of giving regular people a proper insight into what a Grand Prix car is like.
When I was practicing on the sim, we did a full loaded fuel car and then went straight to a qualifying car, and the difference was unbelievable. But it's the same on your computer games. I've tried it.
I went from a road car that had 100 brake horsepower to 200. And I remember putting my foot down thinking, I'll never be able to control this amount of power. So
yeah, but
now you're talking about 800.
It's very, yeah, okay. It's actually more difficult to get it so precise when you're doing it in the simulator than when you're doing it in the real car.
Difference was unbelievable, but it's the same on your computer games. I've tried it.
I went from a road car that had 100 brake horsepower to 200. And I remember putting my foot down thinking, I'll never be able to control this amount of power. So
yeah, but
now you're talking about 800.
It's very, yeah, okay. It's actually more difficult to get it so precise.
On the same circuit, you won't get any surprises when you turn up. It won't be completely different.
How's it all been going?
Yeah, really well. It was a really big day for me.
What's your impression now that you've been in the car? How close were we? Did we get it right?
Yeah, it's actually quite funny because when I was playing the game and I was hot before in Formula 1 car, I really thought it's a little bit too much like an arcade game or something like that. But now I really have to say it's really good.
I am far too old to be a driver.
No, that's not true. How old are you?
34 now.
Yeah, how old is Schumacher?
Oh,
how old is Barrichello? How old is Webber? Come on.
Still chance yet.
When I came to Abu Dhabi, I couldn't go to the simulator, so I switched on the video game and I started to play on Abu Dhabi. And actually, it actually worked, because when I got here, I felt like I already driven. It was my first race in GP2, first ever time in GP2, and I won in the first race.
Excellent.
So actually helped.
Peggy 3.
It's really the ultimate experience.
It's a culmination of so much hard work.
It's that attention to detail which really makes such a big difference.
The drama, the tactics, the excitement, the strategy, we really have got to the heart of the sport. We've had 2 really successful games launched already now for Formula 1.
When you're evaluating what to do in the next instalment, you really want to improve on everything that's there.
The aim for the 2012 game is to make more of a complete F1 experience.
At the start of the game now, we've got the Young Drivers Test. It's a real test that exists in real life. It's set in Abu Dhabi in 2011, and you get a chance to drive either the Red Bull, the Ferrari or the McLaren.
It really gives those up-and-coming drivers track time to really kind of showcase their talents, and it's wonderful that we're able to copy the elements that happen on those real young driver test sessions in the Formula 1 2012 game.
I remember my first test was with Red Bull Racing at the end of 2007. And even 3 years later, the people who ran me at the test still remember the job that you did, so the first impression really is important. People still talk about the first time Lewis tested at Silverstone for McLaren, and so it is a hugely important day for a racing driver.
I think Codemasters have done a super job giving regular people a proper insight into what a Grand Prix car is like.
The hot lap videos, you see these kind of things on TV all the time, and we're using Anthony Davidson, an ex-Formula 1 driver.
And he's really just directing you on what makes a good lap. So he'll be pointing out the braking points, the things you should be watching out for. If it's a double apex, the sort of line you should be taking.
This is kind of just giving you that fundamental information that you need in order to get to a new circuit, understand it very quickly and enjoy the most from it. Formula 1 games are very fast, always have been in the past, but what we've tried to do is enable the player to drive consistently. And we've put a lot of time into working on the pad to help the player control the car at speed.
We're not all Fernando Alonso's of this world, we make mistakes. So rather than just hitting the pause menu and restarting the race, you've got the ability to be able to rewind time and just get to a point before the incident and just try it again. Certainly for the novices, in terms of learning racing lines and avoiding incidents, they're a really useful tool. The thing that differentiates Formula One from all other motorsports is the strategy element.
Being able to make the right call at the right time. You might not be the quickest driver, you might not have the quickest car, but you can balance the elements.
You've got fuel mixtures you can dial up and dial down. You've got different pit stops. Do you stop twice? Do you try and run longer? It's a thinking man's racing game.
Peggy 3.
This year, the kind of objective right from the beginning was to actually match what you have in real life.
If you want that Formula One experience, the stuff we've been doing in 2012 has moved that on a whole new generation now.
The whole weather scenario system has really been refined this year. So you'll get weather fronts come in now and it could be raining at one section of the track but dry on another. So you get those real moments where you're not sure which tyres to be on. So that really mixes up the racing quite a lot.
You're having to weigh up in your mind, shall I switch to inters or wets or dries? It's really unpredictable now. It's really matching what the people are seeing on TV. Significant work has gone into the physics model, particularly the suspension, which has a real kind of sea change on the feel of the car. You can really attack the track. Many people will watch fastest laps or pole laps on TV at the weekend. Now you can really get the sense of doing the same things as drivers. It's just those extra elements that make you feel like a real Formula One driver.
We've got some really cool engine audio. Whilst you're driving the car, the other cars were out on circuit, and particularly on the pass-bys and things, are just so much more realistic. I think players who've played F1 2010 and F1 2011 are really going to see a big uplift in that area this year.
We've had a bit of a change in direction for 2012. In 10 and 11, the player had the main user interface, the main menu sitting inside the paddock where you had the interviews. But for 2012, we wanted to try something different. So now it's about projecting the passion and the technicality of Formula One to make it really look cool and also ease navigation so you can easily find your way to all the different game modes. Replay cameras have changed dramatically this year. We're going for a more real-life experience.
An overtake might not just be into one corner, you might have set it up in previous corners, so you want these cameras which show the build-up and the actual move execution.
They've got the right kind of positions, they can catch the car in those moments of beauty when you come out of a corner with too much power, you get a bit of oversteer and you outbrake yourself. Players want to watch those moments again and again.
When you're walking past someone's screens, sometimes you have to sort of do a double take as to whether it's real footage or whether it's the gameplay.
Peggy 3.
As people get more and more accustomed to Formula One, they want to notch it up. Every year we're learning something new, every year we're pushing to improve that experience. 2012 is really responding to what the community has been talking about.
Some of the feedback we had suggested that people only picked up F1 and put it in their machines when they had a solid couple of hours to play. So we wanted to come up with some new game modes, some new challenges that people can put on when they haven't got quite so much time to spend.
One of the new modes for 2012 is called Champions Mode, with 6 world champions on the grid this year. We thought it'd be interesting if we made a scenario mode about trying to beat each of those champions across progressively difficult challenges.
So it's really based around 3, 4, 5 laps of just intense driving. The race is in progress. Can you overtake and defeat this champion driver?
This is about trying to replicate that career experience that you had over a number of seasons in our previous games into a kind of condensed format.
It's a 10 race season and it's a little bit more sort of arcade based, so you sort of challenge rival drivers, and if you defeat them a couple of times then you steal their seat and you progress up through the grid.
We spent a lot of time working on new modes, but we also wanted to inject some new ideas into the normal career mode.
We've made more of the press clippings and more of the world around Formula One, so you're going to start to see more involvement from team bosses and engineers and key people within the teams themselves. And I think when people have got a nice bit of time and they want a single player experience, you still can't beat that career mode. Multiplayer is a huge part of racing games, of the racing experience, that sort of will to compete against other drivers. So we've got lots of different game modes to cater for how much time you've got to race online. I think with Formula One, people like the thought of qualifying and getting the grid and that sort of pressure of that environment. So we've introduced one-shot qualifying rather than one 10-minute session or 3 knockout phases. It's, you know, what can you do in one lap? That one lap's going to determine your grid position. So that adds a lot of pressure.
2012 really is something completely unique. This is about playing Formula One your own way.